Our viewers are notorious players of board games. You better believe they've told us which they've been playing and why. I picked out a bunch to share with you, including some classics, some new hotness, and, as always, several surprises on this month's People's Choice selections. The first game our viewers have been exploring is Explorers of Nevoira, where new and strange continents have emerged from the sea, and the Council of Nevoira has decreed that you are going to need to discover their secrets. Leave them alone. Nothing good can come from there. This is a card drafting tableau building game where adventure cards help would-be trailblazers explore these new lands, building settlements in the newly emerged continents, craft supplies and items, and collaborate with the different people they find. Kenneth K expounds that he got this Kickstarter this week. I was a bit overwhelmed with the board and 7 decks of cards with the expansion set, but to my surprise, the symbols were easy to understand and the choice is straightforward, as you only have 2 options each turn. After 3 rounds, you're done. It seemed like just the right amount of time, and I'm so excited to dive into the solo campaign. I've seen Explorers of Nevoira. I'm not quite 100% sure how to pronounce it. I'm not going to lie about that. But I've seen it a bunch of times, and you better believe I've ignored it. Because to me, it looked like an adventure, cute adventure game. I was like, I'm all right for that. I'll just let this one pass me by. And for this video, I had to do some research on the game. And I tell you what, I was wrong. So wrong. I was so wrong. This game is nothing to do with anything that I thought it was. It's a Euro game for starters. What? I wasn't expecting that. It's card drafting, tableau building, and you're going up tracks. Guess what? I like those things. I love those things. And what it has as well, other than all the, the cool mechanisms, is its artwork is actually phenomenal. And the artist is the designer? What's happening here? I went from, frankly, very little interest in playing this game. Someone brought it to the table. I'm like, yeah, fine, okay. To, I'm seeking this game out. I want to play this. It looks great. But before the next game, here is a message from the sponsor who, in part, helped make this episode possible.
Priorities, a party game of finding the truth among bizarre choices. Its premise is simple. Ask yourself, how would you rank 5 random items from best to worst, from love to loathe? For example, what's better? Friendship or being right? Puppies or kittens? Rainbows on a rainy day or the ghost of John Stamos? Determine your answers, because then the other players work together to try to predict the order that you have ranked the items. Can your friends predict what your priorities are? It's everyone, both families or adults, versus the game, as they try to determine how well they all know you. Priorities is now available in the US at your nearest Target and Barnes & Noble stores, and Walmart in Canada. So follow the link in this video's description to find Priorities, pick it up, and make trying to predict how your friends will rank crazy choices a priority at your next group gaming get-together.
Sprouting from our viewers' tables onto the list now is Reforest, Plants of the Pacific Northwest Coast. What a name. Reforest is, what I'll be calling it, is described as a medium complexity card game with light engine building elements, where players compete to grow the healthiest forest ecosystem. You better believe that means arranging a symbolistic tableau of unique plants to score points, do actions, and woo the critters of the forest. Stephen R. tells us that I backed this game on a whim. Stephen, look after your money. Better than that. That's crazy talk. Because I like the theme. I had no idea how much I would love the game. It's such a wonderful little puzzle with some clever mechanisms. The triggers can give some serious bonuses. It looks so simple, but the decisions each turn can give you a little AP, as analysis paralysis to us. It also has an excellent solo mode. I'm noticing a couple of similarities with the first one. Excellent solo mode is what people seem to be wanting and want to play, because life is real, and backing things on Kickstarter. And again, I kind of just saw this game and thought, okay, another card playing game of trees and animals and a forest. I've seen this before. I could ignore this game. And again, I looked into this one and thought, actually, it does look quite good. You're kind of building your forest of the Pacific Northwest coast in these pyramid structures, and you're covering up cards and trying to do some quite advanced combo-tastic card play to get points. And I thought, oh, that actually does look quite interesting. An in-depth game that's small, compact, and quite lovely. Filling the classic section of this list, our viewers are still playing Acquire, the game where players strategically invest in businesses trying to retain a majority of stock. And as businesses grow with tile placement, oh, you better believe it, they also start merging, giving the majority shareholders of those acquired businesses sizable bonuses. Or not. Really depends on how well things are going for you. This payout can then be used to reinvest in other companies. All of the investors in the acquired company can cash in their stocks for the current value and trade them for shares of the newer, larger businesses, all in a race to acquire the most money. Lee R capitalizes on the fact that sometimes the age of a game can really surprise you. Acquire, which was made in 1963, so Board Game Geek tells me, still holds its head up with the best of them. A simple game about buying and selling stocks at the right time in order to make the most money. If you are searching out a copy, then it's worth checking different versions, as the font and board can vary wildly in legibility. Ain't that the truth, Lee? Some versions of Acquire, utterly unplayable. What were they thinking? You have an alphabet in numbers, and on the actual tiles, they've chosen a font where you go, is that, who knows? I played Acquire for the first time recently, and we played it at 2 players because I was given a tip by Matt Leacock, designer extraordinaire. I'm looking at this because he helped design this. And he said, you can play it at 2, you know. And I said, why? And he went, it's actually really good like that. It's more tactical. And so we tried it. And you know what? Really good too. Enjoyed it a lot. And I've never played it more than that, but I kind of think I like it at 2 because you've got more control. I hope the newest version of this is Renegade Studios doing it, the newest version. I really want to see that on the board, on the table, and see how good it looks. This game deserves a beautiful, legible version because it's a classic for a reason. It's fantastic. Exploding onto our viewers' radar now is Bumbusters, where you play a team of expert bumbusters, or at least willing bumbusters. Using the wires on the tile holder in front of them, players need to try and figure out what their teammates' wires are and find and cut the identical wires, and you win. But watch out, because if you cut a red wire, you don't win. You boom, kaboom, you're dead, game over, try again. There's equipment to use and 66 missions to play through and multiple levels of difficulty to get through. Helen B was bursting to say that with so many missions to play through, my group have been loving blowing up over and over again. It's also fun when you win. Why didn't anyone has this been down the whole time? This isn't a bit. I won a Golden Geek Award. This is meant to be up. Terrible. And now I've drawn attention to it. How awful. Bumbusters is great. I love it. I have my own biases. Those are evident. I've played Bumbusters a bunch. I think it's fantastic. It's a deduction game in many ways. So you're trying to work out what wires everyone's got and how to, I've got a 1, you've got a 1, and there's some information out there to help you. Without going into all the rules, it's a wonderful game of deduction and anger at your opponents, and well, they're your teammates, and trying to go through these missions, and the missions rank up in difficulty and extra bits and pieces going on, but you can play mission 16 100 times because it's different every time because of the way the tiles are out. It's fantastic. I'm in love with these types of games. These social, limited communication, mission-based games. We've got the gang, the crew, those types of things, infiltrators, that type of stuff. And I've really become a massive fan of it. And Bumbusters is an excellent example. Ahoy there, kitten! Is the next game we're talking about, where players are pirates who are also cats. And as the cat, shiny little coins do not interest you, oh no. What you want is fish. You want to collect more fish than your opponents through bluffing and cunning. However, it is not that easy because other cats are eyeing those fish too, and each pirate simultaneously places a finger on the tiles that they want to collect the fish from. They can only get them if they're alone on the tile. Frost Knight comes aboard now to say, I've always liked small box games and landed a hit with this one. It's so rewarding when you cast your net out and outcat your opponents and reel in their fish. Ahoy There Kitten really is one of those games where it's simple, chaotic fun that I think shines the brightest late night at a convention when everyone's a bit too tired and everyone's up for just a little bit of nonsense. And when I was playing Ahoy Kitten, I thought, isn't this exactly the same as the game Crossing? So I looked it up, and it is. It's exactly the same as the game Crossing because it's the game Crossing with the new packaging, which is good because the game Crossing was fun, and this comes in an even smaller box, which is something I care about. It's a great little silly light game that you can play with kids, I guess, as well. It's fun. It's silly. It's fun and silly. I like fun and silly. Could you tell? Surely not. Now we have Splendor Pokemon, which isn't a game I was expecting to exist. Splendor Pokemon plays much the same as the original Splendor, where players take turns collecting jewels to turn in for cards in order to build an engine to get more jewels and more cards, collecting points to get more jewels and more cards to get points. Here we are collecting Pokeballs and catching Pokemon. But players, by the way, I'm totally in on this, just before we even get started. Players are able to evolve their Pokemon if the next level of that Pokemon is in the display. And there are 2 new decks of cards, rare Pokemon and legendary Pokemon, which they grant extra abilities and extra points. Timothy W. Pika chose... I wrote this, I can't be angry. They chose this one. Did it work? Saying, despite this game not being widely available yet, a friend of mine managed to procure a copy. Splendor was always a game that I was willing to play, but Pokemon Splendor got me excited to play. It's the same game as the original, except you have the ability to upgrade your Pokemon in your Tableau through evolution. This one small edition got me excited to play because I want to evolve Pokemon in my Tableau. We all want to evolve Pokemon. That's what we all want. Look, I'm at the age where Pokemon is culturally relevant. Okay? That's my age. I mean, now I'm probably less inclined, but Pokemon was aimed at me, directly at me. So I have a nostalgia and a warm feeling towards Pokemon. I like Pokemon. Do we think Splendor Pokemon will change your mind if you've played Splendor and it wasn't your cup of tea? Let's put it, this is coffee, but for dramatic effect. Probably not. If you don't like Splendor, you're probably not going to like Splendor Pokemon or Pokemon Splendor. And it isn't widely available, right? I think it's been released in Chinese and Korean. Is the IP available for a wider release? I don't know. Probably not. But if it is, I'm getting this. I like Splendor, but I don't own it. But I like Pokemon, and I don't own one. I have a dog. But I think this merging, for me, is pretty fun and exciting. I'm excited to try this. And now a quick message from the second sponsor who helped make this episode possible.
On the first Monday in October, the U.S. Supreme Court gathers to decide the fate of an entire nation. In the game First Monday in October, 1 to 4 players recreate the entire history of the court in a tug of war over the court's judicial philosophy, representing how key provisions of the U.S. Constitution are interpreted. Score renown points by advocating for the winning side of cases decided by the Supreme Court and by shaping the judicial philosophy of the court to align with your hidden objectives. Place clerks on what you hope will be the winning side of cases. And in order to help their litigants win, players can take actions to change the composition of the court by encouraging justices throughout history to retire and by supporting judicial candidates. The first Monday in October is running a Kickstarter campaign right now through December 20th. So follow the link in this video's description for more information and to get the first Monday in October added to your gaming docket today.
The next game our viewers have been brewing up is the Matcha expansion to the White Castle. The White Castle is a combo-fueled dice drafting game, and this Matcha expansion adds in new dice and new possibilities. Yeah? Players will now have to deal with a new place in which to influence the court using new members of their clan. And having members of your clan in good seats within the tea room will help you achieve a greater level of influence within the court of Himeji. The expansion also will lengthen the game by 3 rounds, but will that be enough to do what you need to do? And brewing up some thoughts on this one was Cat B, who tells us an expansion to one of my favourite games of 2023. It was an insta-buy for me. It might not fit in the base box, but it has green tea and more combos than Street Fighter. Quality comment. Honestly, that's quality content. I love The White Castle, one of my favourite games from last year. So the fact that this adds in more stuff, more of basically everything, opens up things a bit for scoring and gives different ways to do scoring possibilities and new scoring combos. It lengthens the game, which is, I think, is good because I enjoy playing the game. Everything about this expansion I've been excited for. I also I like the colour of the new dice. That's a pretty superficial reason, but I just like them. I don't like matcha though, as a drink, and I wish I did. And I've tried it many times, but I can't get on board with it. And no, it doesn't fit in the box, does it? So you have to keep 2 boxes. Devastating. I've been incredibly impressed with both the Red Cathedral and the White Castle, and I've been very impressed with both expansions. So just more of this, please. Stopping us now in our tracks is Stop Thief, the family game of logical deduction. An invisible suspect commits a crime. Only the sounds they make give them away. So players must listen to the clues and figure out where they're hiding. Are they behind you? Is he in the room? This new version of the game turns the old electronic device into an app that allows for better sound quality and more dynamic platform for different modes of play, as well as ditching the roll and move mechanism, replacing the dice with decks of asymmetrical movement cards. Andy S halted their day to tell us that the box says 14+, but I'm playing this cooperative mode with my 6 and 9-year-olds. They love this game, and to be honest, so do I. I played the original when I was about 6 years old, and it spawned my love for board gaming. There's deduction, and you're not exactly at the whim of the dice rolling because it's the numbered card movement instead. It's just plain fun for everyone and easy enough for just about anyone to understand how to play. Stop Thief is a very unique game as far as I'm aware. You know, there's a thief on the board and you don't know where he is, and there's lots of numbers on the board and there's starting points, and from the sounds you hear, you have to look at the board and go, well, I heard indoor footsteps, then I heard a door, then I heard outdoor footsteps. So if they started here, they could be there. If they started here, they could be there. If they started, I'm going to get my own hint. You get your own personal hint, so you've got more information than other people. I can see the love for this game, and it's one where I think the app that Restoration Games have produced for it really does enhance the gameplay because it offers so much more possibilities for it. I've never played Stop Thief, but I would like to try it. Cement booting its way onto the list now is The Godfather: Corleone's Empire. The Godfather is pitched as being a streamlined confrontational worker placement game filled with murder and intrigue. Players are competing mafia families who are vying for economic control of organised crime networks of New York City, deploying their thugs onto the board to shake down businesses and engage in area control turf wars. Money, rackets, contracts and special advantages are represented by cards that players need but also can use to pay tribute to the Don at the end of each of the 5 rounds. It's Mike K that's been snitching about this one, saying, "It's been years since the last time I played The Godfather, and this month I had the occasion to play it at Algramy Con in Poland. I forgot how good the game was, or maybe winning with a really high score helped with that." Winning helps, doesn't it? It does help me feel good about a game. Godfather, yet another game that I kind of went, CMON game with lots of stuff and minis, and I'm fine probably. That's not really my wheelhouse normally. I certainly thought I did love Cthulhu Death May Guy. So, you know, we're all hypocrites, aren't we? And I just didn't know much about it. And also, hold on to your monocles, but I've never seen The Godfather. So I've just heard it's rather good, and I'll accept that. That's fine. So this wasn't a game I ever kind of sought out. And then for this video, I've watched a bunch of videos on The Godfather and the game. And you know what? I was completely surprised by what I found, and it's just not what I expected at all. This is a Euro game. Who knew? A Euro game. It's got lots of thuggery and violence and throwing people in the Hudson River. Yeah, sure. Lots of Euro games have that, I imagine. So you're placing workers out, getting resources, and getting area control from stuff. And you're playing cards to do it. Who would have thought? This, it looks good. It looks like a really cool crossover of Euro and Ameritrash. It looks fun. I now want to play this. What's frustrating is I don't have enough time to play the games I know about and want to play. And then I do videos and find new games, and now I've got to play this. And finally, the monolith of this month's People's Choice is Ziggurat. The Ziggurat has been abandoned for centuries. It's old and crumbling. Vines crawl up its sides, the winds and rains have washed away its vibrant colours. The village that surrounds the structure has dwindled. People have moved away, but something stirs within its depths. Dun dun dun! Ziggurat is a cooperative legacy game with the story of the Ziggurat unfolding over 6 chapters, with players making decisions that affect all future games. As the story progresses, permanent changes will add new rules, materials and pieces to the board, and as players work together to complete the challenges that each chapter brings. Sophia W. was excited to say that a family-friendly legacy game from Rob Davio and Matt Leacock, that guy again. It looks amazing on the table and my kids have loved it. So this is a family-friendly legacy game, which I'm going to play with adults, because it looks fun. It's a 3D Ziggurat, and you're essentially just... There's no spoilers here because it's a legacy game, but there's a snakes and ladders situation where you're climbing up a Ziggurat and you don't want to fall in holes, and you can go up the ladders and you want to push these fire spirits into the holes. And the way the chapter book looks, it's really lovely. Well, it's really well made. Instead of like bunches of stickers and stuff, you kind of open the chapter book and all the resources you need are in the pages. I'm totally on board with this. I'm always looking for kind of like easy to get to the table, family, weight, legacy stuff. Yes, I know this is still in shrink. I know. I don't have time to... Who has the time? I need a weekend or possibly 3 days. Look, that's why Ziggurat excites me, because I just think that this type of game, I think it's going to be a really good experience for everyone. It's got great table presence. So I'm really excited about Ziggurat. I want to play it quite a lot. And that is a sampling of what our viewers have been playing this month. To join the discussion for next episode, follow the link in the video description to our Patreon to find out how to pick the games featured in the People's Choice. And to see the games on our own personal radars, continue on to this month's On the Radar episode. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you over there. Bye.